Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vlog Media Breeze. This is Vlog Media Breeze. My channel is still, I don't want to say it's new because I have been here since 2019, but it is still, I'm still trying to grow it. So for those of you who are new here, please, if you would be so kind as to click the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell. And as we go along, you can get down over here in the chat and just comment on some of the information I am going to share with you today. This video I decided to do impromptu, and I did it. I have a couple of different favorite YouTubers that I like to watch, and they are like really grand at bringing the news and bringing the information and even gathering followers. And I'm a follower of some of them on YouTube. And so Sharrell's World is one of those. And so I watched something this morning. I got up and I was just looking at something on YouTube. I was trying to find something else actually, and I came across this story, and it has to do with the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Cosby. Mary Cosby. If you watch the show, you know her. She runs a church there in Salt Lake City, and a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about what is going on with the church. I just want to start out by saying here, everything that I'm going to be reporting is allegedly. I did get it from, a second source who is credible, because Sharrell actually had she had a witness, and she had someone closely related to Mary Cosby. I think his name was Dan C. And I believe that he is Mary Cosby's brother. They have the same grandmother, the grandmother who started the church that Mary Cosby now runs there in Salt Lake City. A couple of things I wanted to do with this video, and it's impromptu, and I've been working on it all morning. And I just realized, I've been out of college for decades. So I forgot, okay, colleges do not go back until the 10th or sometimes the 8th. So I contacted the University of Utah, their law library, because I wanted to know the laws surrounding the mind manipulation of churches in that state. And I was able to speak to someone, but they do not even open the schools back up there until the 10th, I was told this morning. Some of their staff and professors are on the campus, and she tried to connect me with someone there. And I also wanted to know if there was someplace I could go to online, like if they share their law library, because a lot of universities do not share their law library online. So I did want to try that as well. So I'm going to go ahead. I want to put this up here as I tell you about why I am here, as I share this with you. I don't know. Let's see here. There it is. Okay. So, and if you go to Sharrell's World, you'll see at some point she will bring up this photo. So I'll leave it there. That is Mary Cosby. The gentleman beside her is Cameron. I do not know his last name. He was a guest. He made a guest appearance on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City a couple of weeks ago. He has actually a couple of months ago. There was a couple of weeks ago, but he actually passed a couple of months ago. So he has since, exited this life due to a brain tumor. So I want to start out here. I'm going to share some scripture with you as well, because I am a daughter of the Most High God. If you've been over here before, you've probably often heard me say that. And I'm not perfect, so I'm not saying that to say that I'm perfect, but I do try to run a tight ship here with regards to my character. You guys, let me tell you, I do not know what is in the H2O in Utah. I do not know what is in the water. Okay, hi Freckles. Hi, Happy New Year to you. Hope you have a great one. I don't know what's in the water in Utah, you guys. Wow, I'm just like, I'm taken aback. But Sharrell's World did an outstanding interview. Um, I don't know if you all know this. I know one time she brought on her sister very briefly, and her sister is actually a journalist in either California or somewhere. And maybe that just runs in their family somehow because Sharrell is not a journalist like on television or anything, but she really does do a really just like a natural job of getting in the minds of people and getting them to talk to her and to answer questions. And I mean, I was thinking this morning, I mean, I have family in the press. I have three family members in the press. I do come from a family that's quite educated through and through. And they talk about how hard it is for them to go out in the field and to find people to have a conversation with them. And when they do, they have to be cautious about what they ask them. And I don't really see that with Sharrell at all. And you guys, I know people love to give homage where homage is due. Sometimes homage is not always due. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think she does a better job at the questioning than Tasha K. Dare I say, right? Because she has a certain demeanor that causes people to just talk to her and causes people to just want to call her a show and want to get on. And they open up. Like it's almost like there are no stipulations. Whereas with Tasha, I see some, like the other night, that interview, I saw some stipulations with that. Guys, sorry, the adulterer. Okay, I saw some stipulations. I saw her holding back answers. But I digress on that. Let me go ahead. Whatever's in the water in Salt Lake City, just don't drink it. Sharrell interviewed Dan C., who again is either the cousin, not cousin, he's the brother, I believe, to Mary Crosby from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They share the same grandmother who started the church there in Salt Lake City. And one of the things that he exposed is that, Mary loves to prance around the show as though she has all this money. We watched her the other week give away all these lavish gifts and things. And she loves to talk about, oh, my Louis Vuitton, or just all of these name brand clothes that she has. And we all have suspected all along that it is her church that is buying those things for her. We learned that her grandmother started something called a TLC daycare, which she has taken over. To my knowledge, and based on what Dan C. said, or what I took from it, is the daycare is not really doing that great. She also has a business called King's Copies, where they were building, I guess, setting up advertising for billboards in the area. And that is not doing that great as well. He said that 95% of her funding and the number one source is the church. So she's really the church is taking a hit from her. And they have to pay her on the 9th and the 30th of each month. She and Robert requested the members pay. So I guess that's when their bills are due at her household. And I have to pause and say here, you guys, whenever the Bible tells us to tithe and to give to the church, we really are given to God. The body of the people in the church, that's the body of Christ. The head of the church is not the minister. The head of the church is Christ. The ministers of the church are also supposed to give. In fact, in the church I go to, the ministers don't even get paid. Everything goes into a big fund, and that fund is used to support the missionary work all over the world, and it's also used to support local missionary work if needed. So whenever he was saying that the grandmother would, use the funds to put back into the church. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be there. And not everyone in the church is going to need it, but every now and again, you're going to have a need in that church, and those funds are to be used for that. It's to be used for Bibles. It's to be used to uphold anything that has to do with the church, the bills of the church. It's not supposed to be used for Mary to go and buy a Louis Vuitton. No, that is not what it's supposed to be. It can be used for her to eat with, if she's guiding the church towards God, for her to eat and have a small roof over her head. She doesn't need $1 million home. People have got it all wrong. They have it all wrong. He also said that she has a contract with the University of Utah for something that has to do with the football games or the basketball game. Football games do tailgating, has something to do with the tailgating there. And the surprising thing, or one of the, because he laid the tea, honey. He wasn't holding back. It was like every breath I took, he was like giving me something. I was like, what? Hello? I was trying not to be shocked, because sometimes we hear things, right? We know something's going on, and then when someone else repeats it, we are shocked about it again. So I was trying not to be shocked, because I was thinking, well, listen, these are things we already knew, So I don't know what that means about your body when you get shocked again about something that you already knew about, but I was kind of going through that. Hello, Amber Lance. Amber says, I agree. Given to the church after y'all's bills are paid, if you want to only. Well, I have some scriptures that will kind of halfway support that I'm going to go over here shortly. But I wanted to tell you guys what, I wanted to just recap what I heard on Sharrell's World. So the members, we find out, do not even have weekly Sunday services. There are two churches, one in Indiana and another one in Utah. They do not have Sunday service. So you have to ask the question, why are people giving? What is the purpose? And I have some information I'm going to share with you on that, because even though I didn't speak with the University of Utah, I was able to gather some information, really quick information, but I'm still going to go back and contact the University of Utah on Monday. So they're not even meeting. We also learned that, remember on the, was it last season? The second season, when Mary she was there in her church and the congregation was there. It may have been the first season. She was in her church and the choir was there and she was there. That was a setup, you guys. He said that she contacted all of her friends who were still dealing with her. And they had to come in and they had to sign, I guess NDA. And that was a whole setup for all of her friends. It was staged for Bravo to film that. Mary, oh my gosh, you guys, this is terrible. This is why it's so important to be educated. It's so important to be educated. Because sometimes when people, because we also learned that Mary didn't finish high school. She didn't even finish, she dropped out. She did not finish high school. And I see this a lot. Like I used to, when I worked at a certain nonprofit, I used to see it a lot. People who didn't finish high school. Some of them are rather intelligent, but the majority of them just lose their potential because they drop out of high school, they don't finish school, and they develop, because they can't get employment, other ways to make money. And it's usually at demise of whomever their market is. It's so important to finish high school. I would say, even if you do not want to go to college, go to the library and read. Maybe that'll make you want to go to college. I'm just seeing some interesting behavior. But anyway, interesting. So I want to go ahead, and I hate when I say I just now caught myself. I've been working on this so much. Go again. They tell the members that they will be cursed, and also that they only can get into the kingdom of heaven if they donate to Mary and to Robert. This is what Dan C. said that they tell the members, and he was there, remember. This is his grandmother's church. He and Mary are brother and sister, I believe, or first cousins or something. So he goes on and he talks about Reggie Belk. Remember, there was a man by the name of Reggie Belk who was deceased, and Mary said that he unalived himself, or they say he did. His history with Mary and the church is that he cooked with the Southern, there's a place, I guess, the Southern Plantation. He cooked with them. And maybe that's the one in Indiana. I'm not sure if it was in Indiana or Salt Lake City, but he was a cook with the Southern Plantation. And eventually, Mary made him the go-to guy to collect the money from the congregation. I'm just noticing some interesting behavior that is very disturbing to me, because oftentimes this happens and it's the same person, and what they've done is they've changed their name. And I don't like when it happens. I don't like when it happens. Anyway, let me go ahead. I was a little bit distracted. Forgive me. Again, if you are new here to the channel, please feel free to click the like, the subscribe, and the notifications bell. And I am talking today about, I'm actually recapping some content that I heard over on Sharrell's World. Sharrell's World interviewed Dan C., who is the brother to Mary Cosby from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And he really spilled the tea. He spilled the hot piping tea over there on Sharrell's channel. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh my goodness, I had some ideas, because this is how I start my commentaries. I'll be listening or watching something and I have my ideas that are not always presented in whatever it is I'm watching. And so I come back and I will recap it over here. But we learned that Reggie Belk, deceased, he was a cook with the Southern Plantation, and Mary made Reggie the go-to guy to collect the money from the churches. Reggie eventually began to feel stressed about the situation. This is what Dan C. said. He was stressed about it also because it sounds like he was an older guy, because Dan C. said that his wife was flying back and forth between Salt Lake City and Indiana, between the churches, and she was a cook, and she was 70 years old, having to be on her feet all day. And that Mary Cosby and Robert Cosby used to fly her back and forth, and it really stressed her out as well. So it stressed him out, and he had a conversation with Mary. I don't know if it was about that, but he had some conversation with Mary about his stresses. And eventually, they said that's the last they know, is that he had a conversation with Mary about it. And then later on, they found him in his home, and they say that he unalived himself using a knife. And I just found that hard to believe. But Dan C. did not rebut the fact. Like, a lot of people said, there's no way he would have done that. You can do that to yourself. How do you use that type of instrument to unalive yourself? And I like that too. And it sounded like he did it more than once. Oh, are you kidding me? Don't let me, if I stump my toe, it's, oh, I'm going to the hospital. No, I'm just kidding. But I was just like, what in the world is she doing? What are they doing to the minds of those people? There is a such thing as mind control too, guys. I know that a lot of us who are strong-minded and we know who we are, we're confident, we're secure in our well-being. It's hard for us to believe that. At the same time, you need to know that even the federal government has mind control over the military. There are all kinds of information out there about that. And so it's not far beyond people to be what is known as brainwashed. What happens is when we go to church, like when we are finally going to make a decision to change our lives, to live it for God and for Jesus, and we want to make sure we are on the right track, sometimes people become very vulnerable to the guise of other people. And that is why it's so important. I always tell people, read and study your scriptures like the Bereans. God commended the Bereans for studying the scripture on their own because they wanted to make sure that the person who was directing them was not misdirecting them. And that's why it's important to read, because if we're reading our Bible, we're going to know that. We're going to come across that passage and other passages that tell us that we need to stay in the Word, and that tell us that there are hypocrites who misguide the people of God. So to a degree, I'm going, were any of these people reading their Bibles? It's just, I was thinking, oh my goodness, Utah looks so beautiful because the scenes are so gorgeous. When you watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, out of all of the Real Housewives shows, they have the most beautiful scenery of any of them. And it's like, okay, I want to go live there. That looks really good. But now I'm like, okay, no, I wouldn't even be able to drink that water. No, not me, honey. No. They would be mad at me for talking back. After his death, he unalived himself, Mary put out scandalous information about him. Her brother, Dan C., said that Mary started saying that Reggie Belk was mentally ill, mentally imbalanced, things like didn't have good sense. And so that lets you know. For me, I'm thinking allegedly she's trying to cover up something. Because why would you make him the go-to guy to collect the money of your congregation that we know you love the money of your congregation? And then you say he didn't have good sense. That's the kind of, if you really, really felt that way, you would not have allowed him to go collect the money for you. And they went on, they talk about Cameron. Now you see this photo up on my screen right here? You guys, how'd you like my title? The Seduction of Mary Cosby, because that's what this is, okay? She was seducing people through religious practices, and she was also seducing them through intimacy. Because the young man on Sharrell's channel went on to say, remember, Cameron made a an appearance on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. It was at Lisa's party. Lisa had given a party for her son. It was like a business party, entrepreneur type of party. And Lisa invited Cameron to that party. And Cameron was warning them about Mary. He had talked to Meredith and, I think one other person at that party. So we got to see what Cameron looked like. And this picture looks different. Like he had, maybe he had put on some weight, or maybe this was a while ago. But this is Cameron in the picture with Mary. They were saying, this is what Dan C said. The reason I have this picture up here, I'm going to tell you here now, is Mary, Dan also has a brother named Joe. Joe and his nephew, let me start over. Cameron used to date Dan C's daughter. And Mary and Robert talked Cameron and his girlfriend into some counseling sessions with them, telling them, using God's name to do that. Now, she's gonna have to give an account of this real bad. Some people probably don't care about how they die. I care about how I die, okay? Or where I go afterwards. But anyway, during the counseling, Mary started to convince the girlfriend that, and Cameron as well, that they should not be together. I think Mary and Robert started to convince them they shouldn't be together. So eventually they split. And afterwards, during the same week that they split, Dan C has a brother named Joe. And Joe and his son went over to Cameron's with Mary. I think Mary was with them. Yeah, Mary was with them. And while they were there, Mary looks at Joe and says, she told Joe that she felt a sleeping spirit coming upon him and that he should leave. You guys, this is crazy. This is what he said. You can go over there and look at the video yourself. Mary told Joe she felt a sleeping spirit coming upon him and he should leave. And he left. I guess when she said that, he got sleepy. I don't know. I don't know. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. But now I have to be cautious about how I describe this next scene, okay? Because this next scene is when he left, because Cameron used to talk to Dan C. He dated Dan C's daughter, remember, and Mary and Robert caused them to split. But the communication between Cameron and Dan C was still open. And that's how Cameron knows about this. So he said that everything I'm telling you now, Cameron had contacted Dan previously and told him. So he tells him that after his Uncle Joe left, not Uncle Joe, but after Joe left, that Mary went and sat on his lap and started finagling with him, with his parts, okay? And she took his hand, and do I need to say anything else? She took his hand and she went there with his hand. But she said to him, oh, where is it? What was it that she said? She said to him that he was effing God, meaning her, meaning she's God. She was letting him know it's okay for him to do that to her because she's God. So, Freckles, you want to know if the show is good? Yeah. I haven't really been reviewing it. It is good. It is a good show. I like it for the scenery, and I like it for people like Heather Gay, because I want to get more into what's going on with Heather Gay and Lisa. They have some interesting characters. Unfortunately, the more criminal things become, the more interested people become. So people are interested now because there's a criminal element to the show called Jen Shaw, and there's about to be another one called Mary Crosby, allegedly, for the way that she's taken this money from these people. So she sat on Cameron's lap and told him that. And from that point on, they were in a 3-year relationship up until just before he passed away. Just before he passed away. And they took trips to Dubai and to New York. And here at the end, right before Cameron passed, because Cameron, as I shared with you earlier, did eventually pass away due to a brain tumor. So he is no longer here on this earth. But just beforehand, the reason we see him on one of the episodes this season talking to the other people, telling them to beware of Mary, the reason we see that is because I'm sorry. I hope that I'm not seeing this again. I hope I'm not seeing this. Sorry, guys. The reason that he was telling them to beware of Mary is because Mary threatened to use Bravo to expose him. Now, I want to go ahead and tell you what else happened in their relationship. Eventually, he started going to Mary's house, spending the night, and eventually they made it known to Robert Crosby, who is Mary's husband. They let him know about their affair. And guess what? He co-signed on it. He told them to go ahead and have the affair because Cameron loved Mary more than he did. He said, "You love her more than I ever will." So he was okay with the affair. And one of the stories during the affair, because Joe, who is Dan's brother, I guess because Mary is his aunt, or his sister, Dan was at the house one time, and he was in the kitchen, and Cameron got up, came downstairs and said, "Hey, Joe, what's up?" and went back upstairs. You guys, you can go over to Sharrell's World, her channel, and you will see the full interview, and you will know. I'm just recapping the interview. The other thing that was really funny about the interview is Dan told Sharrell that one time Mary and Cameron were in her bedroom, and I guess they were doing their thing, and they have an intercom in the house, and I guess they were really loud. So Robert Crosby over the intercom asks them if they could keep it down some. So her husband, I'm going, whoa, man, the things that are going on in these marriages nowadays, I'm going, this is crazy. That could not be me. That could not be me. That could not be me. I'm sorry. But anyway, so supposedly Mary's not the only one who has an affair, because her husband, Robert Crosby, has also made, when I say to you guys, let me pause here and say, when I say to you that every breath I took, this guy was just giving it. It was like he didn't let up. He had it was hot piping tea, okay? Because he said, now, Dan is Mary's brother, okay? So Robert Crosby was Dan and Mary's step-grandfather. So he not only is married to Mary, right? But he made passes at Dan's wife. He called her on the phone. Dan overheard the conversation on their intercom in their home. He was making passes at the man's wife, disturbed his marriage. People like this have to be stopped in the church. People like this have to be stopped. We're talking about this as if it's piping hot tea, but these two need to be in jail. They need to go to prison. And things and information is coming out so rapidly that Mary is going to have to be investigated. They're going to have to investigate that church. And they're going to find videos like Sharrell's World. And they're going to go interview those people. Mary and Robert have threatened the lives of people who have come out, you guys. That's why it's taken people so long to come out. They've threatened the lives of people. That is why it is not difficult to believe some of the things that you hear about them. Now, and contrary to Mary's lie about her grandmother leaving a will for her to support the marriage between she and Robert, her grandmother actually put Mary out of the church when she found out that Mary was seeing Robert. She put her out of the church. So it is a mess. You guys, this is the spirit of the devil. That is what this is all. When you see things like this happening, this intermingling, this confusion, this diabolical personality, because that's what Mary is. This is the work of Satan. This is a Satan-minded person. When you see people like this, you need to run. I feel bad for those who were vulnerable enough to give in to Mary. I really feel bad for them. But let me go on and see, let me see if there's anything else here. Oh, listen to this. You guys, listen to this. Mary's son, Little Robert, allegedly sells, the D word. I don't know if I know I have it in my title. Allegedly, he sells drugs. This is what Dan said, and Dan said everyone knows it. And I found that to be awfully sad. In fact, they're saying that the law has given him the option to either go into the military or go to some place in California for rehabilitation, or he can go to jail. I feel so bad for that little boy. This is a lot for a child. It's a lot for a child. It's a lot for us, and we're just now getting a grasp of it. He's had to live with her his whole life. Can you imagine what he's been through? She is playing mind games with the church. She's playing mind games with people who are seeking God. They're seeking the truth. And she's playing mind games with them. Kind of like Satan in the Garden of Eden was playing those mind games with Eve. That's what she's doing. That is exactly, she, oh my goodness. As long as we live, we can repent. We can change. And she needs to change. She needs to repent. And even be indebted to those people for the rest of her life, paying them back. I wanted to share with you She said, he also said one other thing at the end. He said that there's a man named Don who is feeble-minded, and he is in a nursing home, and he is a member of the church there. And that for over 20 years, they have been hustling and bustling him for money. They've been taking his money, which means they're taking his life savings, his social security number, and probably retirement. And they say things to him like, "Is God talking to you?" You know, they say they use God to get people to give them money. And supposedly, she just got $1.2 million out of some home somewhere. He said they're eventually going to have to start selling their homes because they need money. It's just, this is crazy. It's just really crazy. But I want to share something with you real quickly as well before I go here. And that is, remember I told you I was going to share some scriptures with you. One of the scriptures on giving that I want to share with you, it has to do with 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 through 7. And it says, "But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver." So God just defined a cheerful giver. It is not to be forced on people. You're not to force those types of things on people. I have two more that I want to share with you. Then I want to share with you something that I found out about the law. Maybe those people need to take Mary to court for real. They need to do a class action. You can do a class action against your minister, you guys. It will not be like a discriminatory, but there is something that has to do with church abuse. Let's see here. You have Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. And it reads like this: "Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings." So I think that I said 8 to 10. Yeah, in tithes and offerings. I'm going to do 8 and 10. So a tithe, for those of you, and I'm sure everyone knows, that's a tenth of your earnings. 10 says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it." So these tithes are to go into the church, into the ecclesia. Then really, even Paul didn't take money from the ecclesias. The ecclesias would give him warmth. They would give him a place to stay. They would give him food and send him on his way. Some of them, every now and again, would provide additional resources to him. But even Paul didn't ask the ecclesias for a dime. And have you seen his travels? Oh my goodness. Mary can't hold a candle to a disciple in the scripture. And she's up there taking all that money so she can spend it on herself. She needs to be slapped and handcuffed. For real. It really makes me mad to think about it. It makes me mad. There's one other one that I want to share with you, and it's Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. There are a lot of scriptures on tithes. If you have a concordance, then you can go through the concordance and Like even if you're struggling, you can look up different words, like prayer. One time, I really wanted to understand how to pray to God because my church would preach on it, but I wanted to really understand because I would pray and feel like I wasn't, being heard. So doing a study on prayer using the concordance and going through the scriptures on prayer really helped me to understand that. And it helped me to feel closer to God. It increased my faith. So you guys can get a concordance and go over this. But the last one I want to go over before I talk to you about the law is Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. And it says, and all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. So a tenth of everything is really supposed to go to the Lord. But you know who the body, the church, the people, that's the body of Christ. And Christ is the head of the church. That minister is also a part of the body. So that minister is not any greater than anyone who is sitting in his or her audience. He shouldn't be riding around here in Rolls Royces. If you are at a church and they're doing that to you, you need to leave. For real, why are you there? That's crazy. You need to be examined. It's great. And it was important for me just to share these three scriptures because I have a limited amount of time here, just to really let you know a tithe is a tenth. You don't sell your house and give somebody $300,000. I mean, you don't take out a second mortgage on your house. That's what Cameron did before he died. Took out a mortgage on his house and gave Mary $300,000 allegedly. That's crazy, you guys. I am telling you, this is ridiculous. This is insane. This is insane. And then you sit back and you watch her on this show, just throwing red bottoms, Louis Vuittons, all these gifts to the ladies on the show. Those ladies don't even need her gifts. They could go buy what she's giving them. She's trying to be a show off with her illiterate ass. She's trying to be a show off. She's pathetic. Now we know why she insulted Jenny. And, now we know why she insults people. She's illiterate. Girl, go get a book. You're pathetic. Okay, so this is what else I want to share with you as well. There are types of religious abuse. And they are, I don't know why it says this, but charisma and pride, anger and intimidation, greed and fraud, that's Mary right there, immorality. I mean, she has seduced the members of this church to the point where they don't even have service. And whenever I watched her do the service for the scene that she set up for Bravo, that's not what a service looks like. That's not what you do. That's not what you do. Stand up there, stomp your feet, scream, close your eyes, turn around in circles, and act crazy. Girl, you're insane. Oh my goodness. Also, enslaving authoritarian structure. That's what this says. You guys, there are a lot of churches even now. I was looking at one over on YouTube. He has his whole church running a chicken farm for him. And one of the visuals was of a woman holding her baby, cutting up the chicken. I was like, why is she there with her newborn baby? There are a lot of churches who enslave people to run the businesses that they have so that they can make money, and they're giving them low wages. Also, it says exclusivity, demanding loyalty and honor. That's another Mary. And new revelation. Okay, so those are marks of spiritual abuse. Okay. I also looked up something because I'm still going to go back and talk to the University of Utah. The University of Utah has their school is called the James E. Faust Law Library, and it opens back up next Monday. So I'm going to contact them just to see about the laws on stuff like this. But it says here, I Googled, can the government ever interfere with someone's religious practices? And it says under current constitutional law, the government can impose restrictions on a religious belief or practice as long as the law in question applies to everyone and does not target a specific religion or practice. Then I wanted to know about harassment in the church. So spiritual harassment came up, and it says, any attempt to exert power and control over someone using religion, faith, or beliefs. And it can be spiritual abuse, and it can happen within a religious organization, denomination, or a group of people. So these people may have a case. And if you go to Wikipedia, Wikipedia also talks about religious abuse. It talks about it being harassment, humiliation, psychological trauma, manipulation, psychological manipulation. So there is something that that church can do to her. There's something that that church can do to her. So Amber Lance, who are you? Do you work for Google? Because that's interesting. I just tried to block her and I couldn't. So there you have it, you guys. I don't get many people coming over here because my channel is being toyed with by some people, and they're here today. But it's okay because God sees you too. Acting like a bunch of Marys out there with my channel on this level. But I just wanted to come on here and, you know, give a recap of what I saw on Sharrell's World this morning. And I think she actually did that yesterday, but I saw it this morning. So you guys have done good at telling me what you think. I don't see anyone else over in the comments. And so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I just wanted to, let me go ahead and remove this real quickly. But this is a picture, before I go, I want to share with you, this is the picture of Mary and Cameron. This is not anything, you see how his tongue is out and on her face? He had to be real comfortable doing that. And she's letting him. So that right there alone is enough to believe the rumors about her. I think that there's something this church can do. I think that someone needs to galvanize them, have a meeting, have a conversation, have a psychologist and a therapist or a psychiatrist, have someone who is in the field of psychology to be there. That's definitely going to be a must. Have that person there and have a legal authority there. And have a meeting and talk to them, all of them, galvanize them, talk to them about what has gone on with them, and they need to come together and file a litigation against Mary Crosby and take all her money and her property, and they need to do it before she sells it, quite frankly. That's my suggestion. That's what I would do. Look at this. Can you imagine? I mean, the woman didn't finish high school and she is manipulating educated people. It's just so ass backwards. It really is. I just can't. I can't with it. Anyway, thank you guys for showing up. You can get in the comments afterwards. For those of you who come over on the replay, you can get in the comments and let me know your thoughts as well. And you guys remember to do this right here, okay? Okay, remember to do that. And thank you for coming up. Remember to mind your spirit. Peace, love, and many blessings to you.